to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudley. Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I love how my co-hosts like to mimic me or pantomime my mouth movements. Tongue twister, I know. But, guys, welcome to podcast number, I believe, apologize if this is incorrect. I believe we're at 67 today. 7. And... Yeah, no, hey, we're almost there, Lynn. I hope you can join us for that one. But until then, I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and joining me today in this fabulous internet-based nerd cave is my cohorts, the Nick Thomas.
Hey, guys.
With the click of his mouth, he allows me to transition to my other cohort, the Lynn Dudgeon.
Heyo! Back again.
I think you are now, at this point, known for your heyo introduction every time. I like it. Stick with it.
Will do.
Guys, welcome to the Nerdcast. We're creeping up on September, and a lot of exciting things are heading our way this fall.
We're not creeping. Matt's not here. I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's why I bleep. Don't worry.
We love you, Matt. We just gotta pick on you when you're not here. Same thing when Lynn's not here.
I only say that because I said that.
Blah, blah, blah. Yibbity yibbity. Alright, guys. So our listeners are not confused. Guys, quick bit of housekeeping. If you're new here, welcome to the Nerdcast. Hit that subscribe button or add us on your podcast listening feeds. Guys, we are in multiple places. We're in audio and video forms. So if you're checking us out on podcasts, we're where most podcasts can be found. And if you're watching us, it's probably from YouTube. Guys, you can find all this crazy content, though, in one crazy location. That is nerdentialsmedia.com. The ringing is still in my ears. Thank you, gentlemen, for helping me promote our crazy website, where not just but also video game reviews, video game let's plays, comic book talk, articles about nerdy things can be found. So, thank you for joining us.
Not all reviews are shared by the whole crew, but they're there.
We have some meaty, thick, deep opinions on various topics of the nerd culture. So, that being said, guys, thank you for joining us. Today, usually we hop into the weekly dose, which is your nerdy essentials for the week regarding news and pop culture. It's been a bit of a crazy week for us personally, so at least this week, I do apologize, dear listeners, but we don't have the current highlights for news. We're in the know still, and we'll come back to you on that next week. In full force. However, we do have a little bit, Lynn, a little bit of reviewing of things this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go in the traditional trajectory of topics by kicking things off with some movie matters. Guys, welcome to Movie Matters. Not many of us have had time to watch too many recent films, but one of us is going to lay out a quick review on something, and I believe it's Sir Nicholas. So the floor is yours, sir.
I was not the only one that watched it. If you were listening to the conversation earlier, but
Hey-o.
yes,
To its full extent, we'll get into it. Go ahead and kick us off.
I've said in the past, I'm a big fan of the TV shows that Netflix does. Netflix is buying up properties left and right to make up for the void that they now have from the Marvel Disney thing happening and them making Disney Plus. But Netflix is making smart choices, and they realize that nostalgia is a thing. And all of us 90s kids are rejoicing because some of the things they're grabbing. One of these is a beloved cartoon that is so messed up from our childhood. If you go back and actually look at it, it was really messed up, but it was wonderful that they chose this one. I about screamed when I saw it on my feed come across on Netflix. They have bought the rights to make a Netflix movie of Rocko's Modern Life. The movie I'm talking about is Rocko's Modern Life, Static Cling.
Oh, snap.
It is 20 years later. They have been floating around in space. If you remember the last episode.
With a rocket protruding from the Rocko's house.
And I was wondering how they're going to do it, because there was a lot of 90s tropes that they followed that made this show what it was. But they brought it to a modern era and did it very well. I actually liked it. They brought in a lot of heated ideas from the 21st century.
What's the contrast? Like, did they... Because I saw bits and pieces. I didn't get a chance to sit through the whole thing, but, like, what are you referencing? Did they bring back a lot of 90s things and cross-reference them with current, or a lot of current?
No, they tried to explain to Rocko that things have changed and he is in a different era now.
Yes.
So Lynn, let me get this straight. You watched this?
Yes, I did.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Kids. Yes, with the kids.
It's Rocko's Modern Life, and he is a classy fella. Of course he watched it.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I meant you, Len. You're a classy fella.
Oh, there we go. I appreciate your call there. I am very... I don't know. I don't feel myself classy, but I am on a side note.
I mean, in relation to this show, clearly. Okay, so...
well, okay, here for you, like, one of the first references that I really dragged it down for me was when they explained that there was a Starbucks, like, across the street from another one that's across the street.
But it wasn't Starbucks. I forget what it was called.
No, yeah, it was... Oh, man. But
it was a trope making fun of Starbucks.
Yeah, Buzzbucks?
Yeah.
There was a Buzzbucks across the street.
They jump back and forth between the different coffee places, grabbing a cup of coffee and going, hey, yeah, coffee, blah, 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 blah. You know?
So was this really only 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's not like a big draw in your life to watch it, but it definitely enriched mine.
So it was like a double episode of the original show.
And if you actually go and watch it, they pack so much stuff into it. Like, there's stuff in the background that you don't necessarily catch the first time you watch it either. Like, there's the stuff that's like right away, like, oh yeah, I get it, hey, and it's like beat into your brain. But then there's this subliminal stuff in the background that you're like, oh yeah, this is the 21st century.
Like, take a moment when it does the first pull away on the camera of Rocko's neighborhood, and actually look at all the buildings you could see in the background.
Like when they're coming from space back down to Earth, like when he's crashing, you'll see so much stuff in the background that it's subliminally there. It's not like the Starbucks thing where it's right in the forefront, beat into your head.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of beating in the head, when Rocko goes to a 3D film,
Yeah.
and this is actually in the previous. If you actually watch the previous for it,
Wait, what, Nick?
there was actually like when you scroll over on Netflix, how they do the little quick like run through, like a quick like trailer.
Yeah.
You actually see it right there where they're setting in a 3D film, and he's punching on the screen, and you just see it pans over to Rocco, and he's just getting punched, and then it pulls away, and he in his very Australian accent he goes, the 20th century is dangerous.
Yeah, he's got a black eye. Yeah,
I enjoyed this show back in the day. Nick, what is your overall feelings for this? What's the recommendation on this?
It kept the same artwork, had the same feel. Because right before I watched a few episodes of the show to try to make sure that it was similar. And they kept it really close.
Look at you being Mr. Thorough.
They did a really good job of keeping the nostalgic feel, even though he's now in the modern day. And they could quite literally start the show up from there if they wanted to, and go from there, and it would still be something that would be worthy of watching. Because there's still a lot of things that he can actually get into now that there's computers and a whole bunch of different things that there wasn't before.
You're right. There's a lot of possibility. Like, I wonder if Netflix was just like wanting to test the waters by doing like a feature length story with this character, with this group. I wonder if we'll see more from this at some point. You know what I mean?
Well, we already see that they're kind of going that route because they saw. I don't think they'll actually make it into a show or anything like that, but they grabbed it just because they could. But along with that, they also made a movie for Invader Zim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the next one I'm going to watch because I'm excited about that too, because that was a great show.
Watch that one.
That's an incredible show. I never got into it at the time that it came out, but I like the style of that, and I've heard a lot of good things out of it.
What would you say your rating is based on rating system number 2 that we went over before the episode?
1 out of 5. I give it a 5. Nerdtastic.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang. Okay. Fair enough, guys. I want to just peel back the curtains for just half a second for our listeners and viewers. We are on the verge of breaking out a fresh rating system from Nerdentials, so
may try a few different types.
So bear with us.
Spoilers.
I know, Lynn. I'm so sorry, but guys, like if it's a real spoiler, I'll put in a timestamp and an alert. Okay, it's all good. But as far as the rating system goes, Nick gives it a 5 out of 5. Fantastic. Nerdtastic. Lynn, you wanted to add something to it?
No, yeah. I would like to give it my rating now.
Okay.
I will give it a 4 out of 5. I'm not going to give it a 5.
Certified nerdy.
I will give it a 4, and here's my reasoning.
Okay.
Is because there are certain aspects within the 45 minutes that are explained that it was done for a purpose, and it kind of felt that way, you know? It didn't feel true to Rocko's modern life, which is the social commentary in cartoon form that was Rocko's modern life. And it felt like it was done to keep true to what Rocko's modern life was, but on the same note, it was also put out there in the hopes of making money.
Well, I am sorry, listener base. I cannot offer a third perspective because I did not see it all the way through. But I respect both Nick and Lynn's opinions here.
I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it wasn't good.
No, you gave it a good rating, so.
I'm saying that it was great. It was just there was that feel there that was kind of like if you took a stick to a dead horse.
A really explicit shortcoming is what you're saying. Okay. Oh man, a stick to a dead horse. Wow. I'm kidding. But I'll take it under advisement as just simply being it did not live up to the spectacular spectacle it could have been.
If they do bring it back, it won't be comparable to what it was, and it won't live up to other cartoon series of the genre, which kind of,
well, I mean, I'll agree.
Like the Simpsons, which is a social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what Rocko's Modern Life kind of was at the time in the 90s. It was kind of like a Nickelodeon version of a social commentary.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I don't have any feature-length films at this point to share with you guys this week. So, you know what? Now is as good a time as any to shift gears if you guys are ready. Pardon the noise here at the studio. Guys, it's time for a little bit of TV talk. Welcome to TV Talk, guys. This week, we have at least 2 shows. Lynn, you don't have any specifics to offer up this week, do you?
As far as TV goes, that's a negative. Nope.
All right. So you
I wish I did.
You could.
I wish I did, but
it's all good, dude. You could be the audience commentary to what me and Nick share today.
I do have more gaming bits when we get to that segment.
And that's absolutely fantastic. I look forward to hearing about that. So, Nick, I'm gonna throw this out there briefly. Where are you sitting at on the show Lucifer currently?
I've watched everything of it that's on Netflix.
So you are completely caught up through season 4?
Yeah.
Man. Okay. There might be a little bit of conversation here between you and me. Just throwing that out there.
Did you watch season 4?
I mentioned off air I'm 100% caught up and waiting for season 5 to come.
Yeah, I've watched all of season 4.
All right. So, Lynn, if you'll oblige us, I just want to confirm you don't care about spoilers prior to the current stuff on Lucifer, right? You're fine with whatever? Okay. All right. Lynn's given us his blessing. So, before going into this, we're not going to heavily spoil season 4. However, I am going to have to put a brief spoiler warning for anything prior to that, because if you click on Lucifer on Netflix, which those not in the know, it was a Fox presentation. It went 3 seasons. They were going to cancel it. Netflix picked it up, and they did a 4th season and now a planned final 5th season. So now that you guys are all caught up, the big thing I found out, and I got a little spoiled before going into season 4, is I just landed my cursor, and you guys know this if you have Netflix. If you rest on the show that's on Netflix, typically a trailer starts playing. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that Netflix was going to play a trailer for basically showcasing everything that's happened up to that point, seasons 1 through 3. So That was a little personally upsetting because the thing is Netflix picked it up to basically kick it off again, like keep the show going, and so they assume anyone coming to Netflix watching Lucifer has seen everything that came out on Fox up to that point, which was 3 seasons, and it's new on Netflix now. So they, yeah, they showcase you. Oh, Lynn, I'm jealous right now. Sorry for all you listeners that don't see Lynn on YouTube. He is eating a wonderful cheeseburger right now. I'm guessing something similar to Burgerville.
Oh, I haven't eaten today.
I'm dying inside, Lynn. That makes me so hungry. All right, sorry, guys. Little tangent. Going back as Lynn eats it on camera. Guys, go to YouTube if you want to see this display of meanness. So, Nick, you agree. I just, like, you can kind of, like, pipe in a little bit. I'm doing a presentation here, but, like, you can agree or disagree as I'm saying these things. Like, dude, I landed on the cursor on Netflix and I hadn't completely caught up with season 3, and they were showing the trailer for everything leading up to the end of season 3. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? On a couple angles, a couple characters weren't with us anymore. And I was like, wait, damn you, Netflix. No, I love I appreciate that Netflix picked this show up and they continued providing for it so they could, this show could properly conclude. But man, that was rough for me initially when I was like, So guys, I'll give you we'll jump into this here in a minute. My quick recap though of, okay, at this point I already put up a spoiler warning and there will be timestamps, guys. So if you don't want to hear anything about this show, you can click on to the next segment. That's what we're going to start doing, timestamps, because I do want to talk spoilers on some things in the future, and that, because it's fun to do, especially if we've all watched a certain thing. Anyway, Lynn gave us his blessing. We're going to move forward at least for this little segment.
Warning. Spoiler alert. Warning. Spoiler alert. You have been warned.
So, seasons 1 through 3. Season 1, incredible, hooking, really fun. It kept me wondering how far are we going to explore the idea of the devil living in LA. How epic is this going to get? Season 2, I briefly touched on it in a past episode we've done. I liked that it went a little bit longer. We built up some more epic angles with the characters, especially in the celestial side of things with angels and demons. And then the thing I noticed, and I'll pick apart the kind of the writing pacing, Nick, and you can kind of join in right here. We're not reviewing season 4 yet. We're just kind of recapping here. So season 1 went roughly 10, 12 episodes, I think, on the
13.
13 on the Fox network. That wasn't unreasonable. It had a decent, this is really intriguing kind of conclusion. And then I don't know what the production company got in their head where they thought, let's add this many episodes, but for whatever reason it was 18. Season 2 went 18 episodes on the network, and it was good. It was decent. It kept going, kept flowing. But about, the last 3 to 4 episodes, it kind of had an epic point where, they could have, cut it here and gone to season 3. But because they ordered 18 episodes, the writers were like, okay, here, we're going to plop in here. Here's a mild climax. Okay, and then we're going to taper off and then build up to something more to lead us into a season 3. And so it felt a little weird. It was still a cliffhanger, but I was like, all right, I'm still going with it. And then season 3 kicked off. You're like, okay, here's where we're starting. Season 3, I don't know what the ratings were. They must have been really incredible or decent because Fox ordered 26 flipping episodes for season 3. Now, 20 to 22 is like on the high end of what we've seen for prime television, especially with the CW. They're still maintaining that. I don't know why that still sticks, but it works for them. But 26, dude, we haven't seen 26 consistently since the 80s and early 90s for most television. You don't go 26 typically. Now, a lot of people have the perspective that, 2026 is a fun investment. There's a lot of fun to have with a show, especially a beloved show, yada yada. But in this day and age, like we're coming into 2020 here soon, and streaming is becoming very prevalent, that especially with Netflix offering the most often binge option of like, hey, season 3 is dropping, bam, here's all the episodes. And because of that, and because of like America's short attention span, it's become more common to see anywhere from 6 to 12 episodes, but usually not a lot more. We'll get 6, 8, 10 episode seasons, sometimes 13, but it's becoming more and more rare to see 13 and above. And in prime television, we're still seeing 20 plus because they're filling in those seasonal gaps with ads, and public broadcasting. So, not to make that it's an entire topic, but just segueing from that, it's like I saw season 3 as a lot of fun moments, but in my opinion, tell me if you agree, Nick, as I was going through season 3, over halfway through, I still enjoyed every episode, but it started feeling like a slog, and that's because
How long it was?
Well, because when you get less episodes, you have more defined. Lynn, what are you doing? You trying to? Are you trying to cut the tension here by showing us a really awkward pose?
No. No, I'm trying to go for unmute myself. Did it feel like filler?
Oh, that's where I'm leading. Yeah, sorry, I can cut that awkward moment or leave it, but but yeah, there
definitely was filler episodes.
There was definitely filler episodes. All of them had some small amount to offer up to the greater development of certain characters, but they were definitely filler because when we're used to 10 episode streaming services where they just drop all at once, we want beat by beat, just keep driving us to this epic conclusion. And when on Prime Network you draw it out to 20 plus, for instance, Limitless.
Well, okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Limitless was an exception to the rule, I feel, the show, because it went 22 episodes. But what they did that was different from most is they broke the season up into 2 separate driving plot points. So they went episode 1 through 10 had a driving point that got to a certain conclusion but left a massive cliffhanger, and then 11 through 20 was like the next major build-up point. And there's nothing to get. If shows could do that more often, it's really hard for writers to do that. But like what Limitless did was it took the idea of a streaming service where they dropped 10 episodes at a time, and they just basically took 2 seasons and compiled it into one, and still gave you a mid-season cliffhanger.
That worked well for them. But I mean, it
and
didn't
Walking
feel
Dead
like
did the same thing. Every time we got to December, they'd take a hiatus. There'd be a cliffhanger, and then they would carry on the second half of the season. And I think if you're going to do 20 episodes, you have to build the storyline that way to where it builds up to something. You give a cliffhanger. It's like a mini season. It's like 2 seasons within one. If you're going to be a primetime network nowadays, I think you have to do that. And so
Well,
I
on the same note,
yeah.
it would be nice if The Walking Dead would do like a December season where they had to deal with winter.
I mean, okay, like ha ha ha.
But yeah, yeah,
You know,
ha, ha, that's pretty much what that is a ha ha ha. But I mean, it wasn't a like a Voltron season where there were so many filler episodes where you're like, oh, I don't care about this character. Why are we following them?
There's probably a good 10 episodes you could cut out of Lucifer season 3
yeah,
that you didn't need.
totally
Okay.
didn't
Because
need
it was filler episodes.
it.
There was quite literally episodes where there were flashbacks. They were what if episodes.
Yeah,
And
there were some
there was
what
no-
ifs. Oh man,
They weren't needed.
Like legitimate flashback episodes. Wow.
like
And
like they
I
were
think
still
that's
like
the
if
reason
you're
why season 3 ratings wise dipped.
Oh,
so-
okay.
And that's why Fox dropped them.
I see kind of where Joe's going with it, where you're if you are concerned with the canon that they are necessary to the story.
like if you're a true yeah, Lynn, like if you're a hardcore fan of the characters, you're still going to have some enjoyment of those episodes. But when you're trying to attract an audience in the tens of thousands and hopefully millions for some networks, that's what they need to reach to keep going. You can't do those kind of episode plots. They work for some shows, but yeah, it was rough for me. About halfway through, we had two huge plots. One, the first half of season 3 started going one direction. The second half of season 3 went a slightly different direction, and then in between all of that was a couple fillers here and there every couple episodes. And that's why I understand Fox wanted to cancel it, but I also appreciate that there's a comic book fan base and Netflix understood what the show could be, that they decided to buy it up, and they took season 4 and dropped it down to just 10 episodes in season 4. And for me, going from the previous 3 seasons to season 4 was a little rough, only because I was so used to them drawing stuff out. Now Netflix has it, and I'm like, oh man. And so here comes the season 4 review, basically, without spoiling too much, is like, Nick, let me know what you think.
Well, I'm saying, are we done with the season 3 review?
Well, we're not really reviewing them. We're just kind of doing recaps. I mean, you can give me your like rating if you want. Like, I didn't do that. Did you have more to say about season 3? We can.
Season 3, by my opinion, they added some elements and stuff. Yes, there were certain story arcs that I liked, but because of so much of the filler episodes, it was my least favorite season.
Yeah, I agree. I liked.
Hey, at least you didn't have to get those filler episodes from loot boxes or DLC.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They used filler episodes. One of the filler episodes introduced you to a character you wanted to see more of, because the whole idea of it. And then that's the only time you ever saw her. And Joe knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Give me just a teeny bit more without giving too much away. I'm trying to think of what character you're saying.
Ella's friend.
Oh, okay. No, that really okay. All right.
Did that not bother you?
No. Okay. Here's. Ah, man. Okay, let's consider this afterwards of doing just like Nick, when season 5 comes out, you and me need to binge it, and then let's do a deep dive on the series, like as a whole, just kind of break it apart and just give our raw thoughts on spoilers. Because I want to spoil it, but I also want people that haven't seen it yet to enjoy it still. I want to tell people to pick it up and try it still. So, yeah, let's put it this way, Nick. The last 3 episodes of season 3, threw me for a loop, and I wonder if they weren't written, like, let's say the finale. I wonder if the finale wasn't written because Fox was told, or the writers at Fox for that show were told, hey, it's going to get canceled. Try to wrap it up somehow. And that episode feels like it was... It's weird. Without spoiling anything, that episode felt like two things. It felt like another filler episode that we could have gotten at any point in time, but it also felt like a apologize for the phrasing, guys, but it felt like a it episode. Where
Jim,
hey, we need to wrap the show up. Let's throw out a really weird alternate angle here. And be like, yeah, what if? It was a what if episode. The finale was a what if episode. And
to me, that wasn't the finale.
No.
Episode 24 was the finale of that season.
Yes, like, okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what was weird about this thing without like spoiling too much. Lynn, just between us, do you want to hear a quick explanation of what we're going with? We could hit a spoiler warning right here and say skip ahead 20 seconds.
Yeah, honestly, just do it because I don't have the time to sit and watch the whole thing. So
I think we gave I think I said I wanted to put a spoiler warning at the beginning of this.
Spoilers.
Like throughout, you've said that there will be annotations in the description box down below. So
okay, right. So if people don't want to hear this, they can skip ahead. All right. So basically, the show, not going too far into it, the episode 24 had a crazy revelation between the two main characters where we're like, there was almost like a, wow, this could either be the next step to an incredible future season or just a bittersweet conclusion where we had Lucifer connect with the human woman that he's had this relationship with this entire show. He revealed his true devil self to her, and she still basically accepted him for him. That and then they kind of left it there, like what could become of these two characters someday, but we're gonna leave it there. And that could have been a bittersweet ending, at least for a season. Like, okay, great cliffhanger. I want season 4 now. Where are they gonna take the characters after that? Again, then here's the crunch in the neck. Episode 25 and 26 were entertaining concepts, but ridiculous and unnecessary. Episode 25 focused on a completely secondary character that we all love in the show, and it focused on her ability to see ghosts, and that had never been brought up in the show at any point in time up until this point. It was like a what if episode almost, and Lucifer and Chloe, the two main characters, kind of carried on with the next murder scene. Chloe and Lucifer act like nothing had happened in the previous episode. Like, oh, they just revealed themselves to each other. They've had feelings for each other. Lucifer showed him his true self to her. She still accepted him. Bam. And now the next episode, they're just kind of awkward with each other and pretending like nothing ever happened. And now we're focused on a secondary character she's kind of been the faith-believing character in the group. Like, oh, she's kind of the Christian girl in the group, but doesn't know Lucifer is really the devil. It's that whole kind of shtick character where she kind of helps Lucifer understand different perspectives in life when he's questioning things, but she doesn't know he's the devil. And now in this one episode, we're focused on her having a ghost friend that she's always been able to see, supposedly. And it's this weird one-off episode where later we find out she is, major spoilers, but we already said that, she is the god of death, the angel of death, Azrael. She's the angel of death, and she felt guilty about this character Ella having lost someone she loved, and so she kind of befriended her and pretended to be a ghost this whole time. Anyway, it's a crazy one-off episode that could have been fun to explore further, but they kind of just shoot it in awkwardly at the end of the season here. And then episode 26, which should have never existed, God himself, almost a Morgan Freeman type character, is narrating of the perspective of, what if these two led dramatically different lives, Chloe and Lucifer? What if Chloe never became a detective and she kept staying a movie star? And what if Lucifer never befriended her and kept living his shady, drug, sex-driven life in L.A.? And they still end up meeting. They still end up befriending each other because of their dramatically different lives. And then at the end, God basically says, it seems like some people, no matter how much you turn their direction or change their, circumstances, some people still end up together. That was it was a what if story. Like, what if Lucifer and Chloe had dramatically different outcomes, but guess what? At the end of the episode, they still befriend each other and they still connect.
Yeah, and
it was like
it basically treated
the whole show
as if the episode 24 finale, the whole realization never happened.
It kind of treated
they
the
never
whole show.
It. They never did anything, and it was like, okay, Fox, what the hell are you doing?
It treated the whole show, Nick, almost like all the previous episodes and all their character development were meaningless. It was a what if episode, and so we can kind of forgive that idea, but it was placed at the end of season 3.
But you look at episode 25. It completely ignored what happened on the episode before. Completely. Like, this could have happened 10 episodes before the season finale, and that's the way they treated it. That's the way everyone was reacting. That's the way everything was happening. And it's just like,
man,
they forgot they had the season finale the episode before.
That's my question. That's my curiosity, Nick, though, in conclusion to this whole thing. And because we could carry on, we should keep moving forward. The thing that baffles me is I wonder if they're like, they were told it's going to be canceled. You need to wrap it up somehow without completely ignoring everything. Well, they need to wrap it up somehow without leaving a cliffhanger, because I think the difference between giving us a weird offshoot episode, a what if story, I think is probably better than giving us a dramatic cliffhanger that never ever gets resolved. And I think we've all seen shows that have been canceled out of nowhere. The writers had no time, no chance to give, or Kyle X. White, John Doe, all of them horrific, really crappy cliffhangers that never had any resolve. So I applaud the writers for throwing in a what if story. At the very least, it's a bittersweet, okay. So the idea is, they still do end up together no matter what their fates led them to. So I can kind of be almost okay with that. I love the show so much. It's like, all right, if this was going to end, at least I wasn't left with a massive cliffhanger that pissed me off. I kind of still was with episode 24, but 26 gave me a what if story, and the network canceled it. All right, I guess I'm not going to piss and moan on the internet forever. And I think that's my conclusion with it. Do you agree or disagree, Nick? I mean, that whole idea, like, well, okay, I wasn't left with a massive cliffhanger. It's not what I wanted, but it was at least something. It's a what if, That's the angle I'm thinking.
Well, to me, like I said, there was a lot of little like filler episodes that didn't make sense to me in this season. They could have cut out a good 10 episodes, and the season would have ran perfectly fine. They shot themselves in the foot by making it so long-winded, and they got on just so many tangents, which didn't make sense.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm just talking about like the end of it all. You know. I don't know.
And they could have ended it on episode 24, and I would have been fine.
Oh, I mean, I guess that kind of would have been a bitter. No, what? That you're
it's a
right.
cliffhanger.
No, you're right. It was a
and-
bittersweet realization between the two characters, and then they just end it. It's true. Yeah, they could have. So
Because here's the thing, though, that bittersweet realization isn't addressed in 25 or 26.
no, I know. Yes, they could have removed those last two, and it would have been I would have had a better feeling personally with how attached I was to those characters. I would have had a better feeling if they had not done 25 and 26 and just left me with that gut wrenching. She accepts him. Like, where do they go from here? Oh, wow. And then it's over. Yeah, I would have been way more satisfied. So if we were to delete, it's kind of like How I Met Your Mother. If they had left it with the episode before last, I would have loved the show a million times more. But they had to throw that little wrench in the big. Sorry, I apologize if anyone hates me for saying that. Any listeners out there, but that's similar feelings, I guess, if they had just left those last two episodes out. But now, okay. Season 1, I think I gave like an 8. Season 2, I gave kind of a 9. It was kind of a fuzzy 9, but it was so good. It was so much more of what I wanted. Season 3, kind of because of those last two episodes and all the fillers, it drops it down to a 7 for me. And I'm 6. Okay, that's fair enough. I'm only going because we still haven't established like our current fresh rating system. I'm just going off our previous ratings of this show. And I don't think I've had a chance to talk with you, Nick, about them. So that's where I'm at. You give it a 6. I give it a 7. Let's not quickly. We'll do a deep dive, Nick. I want to keep it quick. I don't want to go too much because season 4 is so fresh and currently on Netflix that I don't want to dive in too deep on it. Everyone should have seen the first 3 seasons up to this point if they're a fan of the show.
Season 3 to me was like watching Dragon Ball GT. Just because you're a fan, you have to watch it to understand where they're going before you watch.
The next. Yeah. Damn. All right. That being said.
Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay.
With all the filler.
Yes.
Okay. Nick, give me your spiel on season 4. Give me your thoughts leading up to the end of it. Oh.
What?
I know I threw it over to you, but I immediately everything resurfaced about it for me, and I just realized just two little notes I wanted to point out, and then we can go into your feelings of the whole season. One thing I noticed is that once Netflix got control of it, it definitely increased its adult rating a little bit, just a little bit, not dramatically.
Slightly more skin, more gore.
Little more skin, little more gore, because every death on every episode was pretty, typical, standard, minimal. But man, the first 2 episodes, dude, the deaths were like, one of them we actually watched happen. Guy throwing himself onto a spike. And I was like, whoa, Netflix taking this show Lucifer that was on Fox and elevating it to something I'm more used to. And then, and the whole skin thing. Like the whole, when the 2 characters investigated a nudist colony, we would have never seen that on a Fox episode. But there was a lot of ass. And a lot of incredibly well-placed props. A lot of well-placed props in those scenes. Like perfectly placed props on, and there was like 20 nudist characters in this scene because they're in a nudist like club colony place for this one episode. A lot of well-placed props, man, like everywhere. Like just when you think someone's going to turn quickly, No, they're holding a book or holding a plant.
It was very reminiscent of Austin Powers.
Yeah. Just correctly placed in the right moments.
Well, for me to start doing my
Yeah, go on. I'll let
rundown
you take
of
it off real
season
quick.
4, I still need to say something about season 3.
Okay.
There was things that I loved about it, and there's things I hated about it. The filler.
Mm-hmm.
The things I loved about it, the Charlotte story arc,
Yep.
the Menadel story arc.
Mm-hmm.
His whole storyline is from the first season. Like I said, he has this whole story arc that's just ever growing, and it continues through season 3.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But his story arc, the way it grows, is very closely tied with Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
who, if people know from season 2, is the person that played that was inhabited by the mother of all creation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But her story arc as a person now, and not being possessed by her,
Yeah.
was a very powerful story arc for me.
No, I liked it a lot once she was human again. Yeah.
The new captain, I like
Captain?
the person in charge of the police station.
Oh, that happened throughout season 3.
Yeah, I know.
Pierce.
Season 3.
Lieutenant
Pierce.
Pierce. Yeah.
Uh,
Tom Welling from Smallville.
I liked his character because, well, it's Tom Welling, and I liked the dynamic that he was able to add to it.
The first episode of his appearance was hard for me to be like, okay, yeah, he's not Clark Kent of Smallville. He's not Superman. He's in his 40s. He's playing a very different character. And as the episodes progressed with him still in it, I was like, okay, yeah, no, he's definitely this character now, a different character now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But and I love those interactions. I love the way they did it. But like I said, the filler. Those things were needed for story building. And
Yeah.
I was glad they went that route. Everything else could have been left to the side.
Yeah. No,
But
I enjoyed all of his part, yeah.
I could honestly say season 4, without a doubt, unequivocally, was my favorite season.
I will agree completely, because Netflix knows how to do shows.
Yeah. And they knocked it out of the park. Fox, I'm sorry. You dropped the ball. And Netflix showed you what this show could have been on your TV.
Man. Yeah.
The way that they handled it was perfect for the comics, for the characters, and for the intellectual property that it is. And I could honestly say, out of all of them, like you said, this is the first one out of the series for me that got a 10 out of 10.
From episode 1 to episode 10, I emotionally was a little like, why are they doing this? Oh, why are they going there? Why are they going? But that's what Netflix does well, is because they do it in such a short period of time that you see the result of them going this way or that way with the character. You're like, why are they creating drama here? I hate everything about what the character is doing right now. And the payoff is in the next episode. You know what I mean? Like, It's so short. You're like, Netflix does this because they know people binge their stuff. They drop all 10 episodes at once, and I can only watch one a day because of my workload. But by doing that, I'm still seeing the payoff the next day. It's like, oh, yes. I'm not going week to week like on the Fox network. Could you imagine season 3 week to week?
You mean season 4?
No. I'm saying, could you imagine season 3 on Fox, 26 episodes going week to week? Holy crap. I would have sadly lost track of the show going week to week in season 3, and I understand why Fox was like, I don't know what we're doing wrong. But we need to cancel it. People aren't watching it. This is why. Look at what's happening here. Look what Netflix did with your crap. and how they just amplified everything that was good about it and drove you to a crazy, crazy finale, and like, damn, where's season 5 going to go? And here's the cool thing. It was announced that Netflix said, guess what, guys? Season 5 is going to get 16 freaking episodes. And the only like, if it was still Fox, I'd be like, Fox, you're stupid. What are you doing? But because it's Netflix, they took an incredible show. They took you through a tight 10-episode season. It catapulted itself into the stratosphere. And they're like, fans want to see more than 10 more episodes in the final season. Yeah. Okay, guess what? We're going to give you 6 bonus episodes. They're going to carry you through the conclusion. Netflix is going to wrap up this entire series. I'm excited for season 5. I will watch every freaking episode.
Yeah. No, and I was really happy with this series. Not only because of what we got out of it, but the way they handled the actors and all the people involved with it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they were able to save shows. Netflix has actually made a history of doing this, saving great shows that people are mishandling.
Like, a separate podcast and conversation that we could have is they also have a horrible habit of canceling shit after 2 seasons. The OA, I believe, is getting canceled, and I just started it. I literally watched the pilot, and I'm like, oh my god, why are they canceling this show? There's a dozen more examples of shows they are canceling, but there's also a dozen more that they're buying up and carrying forward. It's interesting. It's a weird balance, and I'm curious as to what goes on in the Netflix mindscape. But, Nick, you gave it already without even going into it, because we're not going to spoil any more of it. 10 out of 10. I'm actually going to completely agree with you and say from start to finish, it gave me all the reasons to give it a 10 out of 10. Zero filler, a roller coaster of emotions, and an incredible conclusion / cliffhanger, because it could also have ended right now, but I look forward to seeing where they're going to end the show.
Yeah, no, but you're kind of right, though. You were talking about on your kind of breakdown of the thing, how certain episodes, you're like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And the next episode, they answer it.
Mm-hmm.
If I individually broke down the episode and we were doing this week by week and said, okay, episode 1, I would give it an 8.
You're like, I hate what they're doing with this character right now. What are they doing?
They brought it full circle in the next episode, and you're like, okay, it all makes sense now. And the way they handled that all together, it you have to watch the season in its entirety for you to get the gravity of the show.
Yeah.
And after knowing that, after just watching the first 2 episodes, I'm like, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to watch every single one for me to get the weight of what they're trying to pull across on each episode. And it's worth it, guys. Anyone watching this, it's worth it. Watch the show. Len, watch the damn show.
We got a thumbs up from Len.
Maybe. We'll see. But let's get into it. Gaming Bits.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to conclude TV Talk, at least for this week. Let's jump into our third and final topic for the evening with a little bit of Gaming Bits.
Beep, 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 beep.
Guys, welcome to Gaming Bits. We've got a lot of things to talk about going forward, but tonight we figured we'd get a little topical on you. And
like ointment.
Yeah, kind of like ointment. I'm going to toss it over to Lynn, as he has something he has been passionately invested in and has decided wanting to offer up his thoughts on this topical.
Make an ointment for that.
On this topical. topic.
Oh man.
Thank
Well,
you, Nick. Go on, Lynn. Go on.
Okay, so what you brought up from previous episodes of the Nerdcast, if you ever caught it on our E3 coverage, we were very excited for a game called Anthem. Heyo. But
A while back.
yeah, and it was supposed to be the Destiny killer, if I remember correctly from what everybody was saying.
Looter shooter Destiny killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a very rocky launch, to say
The least,
Uh,
to say the least.
I will say that it is pretty, and I enjoy it for the time I'm actually able to play it when it cooperates. But last week, or the end of last week, we did get some news that the lead for it, Brad Irving. Okay, if we want to get, we don't want to get other leads mixed up there. But Brad Irving actually resigned from his position at BioWare and left it to the two community managers of BioWare, his position. Or so he said in his farewell statement. He hopes that they can steer the game in a direction that the community would like it to go. And, you know, it kind of sucks, or it's kind of painful to see this happen. I mean, something that was already hard launching and hard albeit altogether.
So hard
to play. Yeah. But my thing is, I saw the vision behind it. I saw where it would have liked to have gone. I do like to pass the blame on the bigger entity other than BioWare, and a lot of people like to place the blame there. I mean, last minute forcing them to change the Frostbite engine. Heyo, that's pretty painful. But
it's not a wise choice.
This company BioWare is known for their stories. They're in-depth, like, you know, the Dragon Age, the original Dragon Ages, just, I don't know. It's rough. It's when something larger, Activision, EA, forces a smaller company who has a directive to go, their direction, that they change, I guess, the energy or the creative control of that company. That it's painful, because where are we at? Kind of like a semi-segue into our next topic, but where's Bungie going with the split after Activision? Everything looks like blue skies and greener grass.
Well,
now that Bungie's not with Activision anymore.
That is an interesting angle you lay out for us there, Lynn. Because that's kind of a huge topic. Just to taper off the end thing you were going on with BioWare, it sucks because that was a company that always seemingly delivered on the magic upon almost every release. And I mean, if I say this with light words, if the Otaku article exposing more than 20-some employees at the BioWare office have anything of legitimacy to express with a lot of the ideas of how things did get pulled off there. It kind of, and I'll try to find a link for you guys out there that are curious to read it. If you guys haven't, it's kind of old news now, but of just seeing kind of, I guess, I mean, to summarize it, what I gathered from it was BioWare kind of winged it and relied on the quote, I'm putting air quotes up here for you listeners, the BioWare magic to just settle the score once crunch time came into play. And we all know how negative crunch time is nowadays with how much talk in the industry has been going on about it, pushing developers to their limits, expected release dates, forcing people to work long ass hours to try to accomplish what their original goal was, stuff like that. It gets very hazy after a while, and it's really disheartening to see a company that I've always enjoyed their content from kind of taking this really nasty curve. Like we've enjoyed so many titles from them up to this point.
Yeah.
They even said Dragon Age, what was the last one? Was it 4 was the last one? They even said Dragon Age 4.
Well, no, four would be the new one.
Okay, Inquisition. Was that 3?
Yeah.
So
Inquisition was an off-spin, yeah.
okay, so they even said in within that article from interviews and stuff that Inquisition was even in limbo until it was time to crunch down on what the game was, and then it still pulled it off. But
Yeah.
but that just tells
Well,
you
okay.
with BioWare there's a 50-50 chance of anything we get from them nowadays, it seems. You know.
Here's my thing is I'd like to see more of these companies like BioWare do like what Hideo Kojima did with Namco and just split, because you saw what Metal Gear Survive did. It was garbage without Kojima.
Across the board, everyone considered it absolute garbage. Yeah.
It was it. There was none of the heart there. There was none of the over the top. Like,
that project was something. Sorry.
No, you're good.
That project was something originally, and they ran out of time or something, and were like, okay, we need to turn this into something else, and they spun it for a survival thing.
Survival horror.
It's like,
thing, yeah.
And you know,
and my thing is I don't mean to fanboy on it, but Silent Hills could have been a fucking amazing game, and I don't think that would have been platform specific. I feel like that would have gone all across the board.
Like, dude,
just with how big that game could have been. I don't think that would have been. I would like to see that come to full flourishing. Like I
would have loved to have seen where that went. Yeah.
A Silent Hills game with Norman Reedus would have been fantastic.
Would have been amazing.
Also with Guillermo del Toro with his hands in the mix, that would have been a great game.
We would have had some solid storytelling for sure.
Like I would be willing to put a large sum of money down that would have gone like to Xbox and PC and Switch at some point, like all of the Resident Evil games did. That would have been one of those games that would have been just fantastic based on its story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Lynn? I'm sorry I kind of pulled away your original segue and threw you back into the previous topic, because I realized how much I had not said yet, and realized, there's some things I wanted to say. But let's just, sliding back into that whole separating the developer from the publisher and giving those people the freedom to create, that the fans that create to create for the fans, made by the fans for fans. I think we've got no better example of that right now in the industry than Bungie themselves. And we'll break down some basics right now. We'll do some deeper dives into what's coming in a future episode, listeners. But I wanted us to talk for a minute about this idea of Bungie splitting from a publisher.
Can I kind of backtrack on that? Here's this weird ideology that I have, and I know a lot of the PSN community hates it. I don't know so much about the Microsoft community because I'm kind of new to it, but a lot of the PSN community hates indie developers or doesn't care for indie developers.
From
But I think
PlayStation side?
Yeah. Because we're kind of drowned out by indie games on the PSN.
Huh.
But I mean, it's kind of feeling like the Steam store indie side where anybody can post it, kind of almost anything.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things where I'm thinking I really feel like we need to cut out the middleman, and that's the publisher. Because they're the ones that are really dragging down the creative control of the actual devs. And that's where they have this vision and they have this thing where they want, it's like anybody who creates like a D&D campaign, like a true, like heartfelt campaign. You have this idea where you want your people to go through this dungeon. And you know that if they want to take a shortcut, the traps or the tropes that you're going to throw out where they have to, go through it. And that indie developer sees where their shortcuts would be or where their cheats or exploits would be. And they know how to overcome those. And like with some of these games, like you saw it really hard when Activision still had Bungie. There were all these exploits where people had, like with what they were saying with the Forsaken DLC paid for the Outbreak Perfected side quest. There was exploits there because you could cheese your way through it. And that was because there wasn't any ability to test for it because there wasn't the money in it or the time frame, because Activision had that you need to push this out at this time frame and it needs to be going and go. It's whereas, the indie developers go, hey, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to release a polished product because I know as a professional developer, this is how I want my stuff to look. I want it to be grade A going out the door, not, hey, there's going to be a day one patch or there's going to be day one DLC that makes the game what it should have been when it got launched.
Yeah.
That indie developer puts the heart into the game that these big AAA titles just don't really have anymore, because the AAA title goes, oh, hey, I'm going to make my money back on loot boxes. I'm going to make my money back on DLC. I'm going to make my money back on those cosmetic items that everybody goes, oh, I got to look, my character would look great with that piece of gear on or whatever. It's one of those things where, that indie dev goes, yeah, I know what my fan is looking for. I know where I would like that game to be, set at. And these, like what I'm saying, these AAA titles go, I'm going to make it back on the end game. I'm going to make it back on those live service aspects.
Right.
And I feel like we need to get away from the live service. And I'm kind of really hoping with the Cyberpunk coming out that game, honestly, with the way that CD Projekt Red is going, I really enjoyed all their other titles, and I know you got a taste of it on my stuff, on my PlayStation, Witcher 3.
I got Witcher 3 on the
Yeah.
Xbox here, dude. I've taken some
Yeah, but
tastes of it. Yeah.
it's one of those things. CD Projekt Red puts love into their shit, and it's one of those, I feel like AAA titles need to look back on what games used to be, on what people really enjoy in their game as a story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I play games to escape. I play games to get away from, the monotony of life. I play it as a release.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm doing it to enjoy it. I'm not, like, I got to the point the other day with the Destiny grind where I was kind of like, this farm is painful. I'm not doing this for fun at this point. On my second playthrough for gear, I'm kind of like, this is a bit rough. I like the first set of gear. I was like, all right, I'm having fun here. I'm farming a set of gear out, and then the second set of gear, I'm like, ugh, I've got to do this again, and I've got to do this again, and then you hop into it, and you get the tryhards or the people who are like, oh yeah, I'm doing this because my numbers and my stats are like gotta be up here, but you're like, I'm just doing it for gear, guy. It's kind of one of those,
Fair enough.
All I'm saying is I wish games would get back to the story. I really do.
Well, here's the thing. I don't disagree with that at all. And with Cyberpunk 2077, I absolutely agree that Project CD Red is doing incredible things. They're making incredible moves, especially with the outcome of The Witcher 3, which was so prolific that Netflix, I dare say, has thrown money at the idea.
Yeah.
And Henry Cavill, our favorite personal, like, regardless of the films, I would challenge any of you to not say that you're not a fan of at least the actor himself. I love the guy. He is a hardcore. Let me lay this out here. If you're unaware,
all the nighttime TV shows or like the talk shows that he's ever on, he is a character.
No, he's incredible, dude. Like, I wish Warner Brothers would give him the time of day and get him on, get an appropriate writer for a damn sequel for Man of Steel. Because, I mean, regardless of Zack Snyder's vision, Henry Cavill is an side tangent, sorry. But Henry Cavill is a fun, incredible dude. He's talented. He loves video games. He plays video games in his off hours. He's a fan of the freaking Witcher, which is why he pursued the role at all. And I am very excited that, Netflix snagged him up. And oh well, DC, I guess you're not going to get him for Superman for a little while, because right now he's filming a damn fantasy series, which looks incredible. If you guys haven't seen the trailers, we'll have to break down some TV trailers coming out soon in our next episode. But
I got to say, he did say he is not done with the role of Superman.
Oh, no, and that's the other thing, Nick. You're right. Like, on a nerdy side note, in this gaming conversation we're talking about, yeah, Henry Cavill absolutely... The contract's not over. He's still in contract with DC. They haven't made a final film with him, and that was the contract he had. But because of scheduling and other things that Warner Brothers has going on, they haven't been able to fulfill that contract, and he absolutely wants to continue being Superman. I love Henry Cavill. The side note, though, back to CD Projekt Red and the game development we're talking about, the stories being told. This company is an incredible company. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be an incredible single-player experience. And, Lynn, I completely agree with you that...
Like, my thing is they're taking a tabletop game and they're turning it into a playable video game
Mm-hmm.
with a story.
Yeah.
So they are ultimately acting as DMs for a campaign that you play through, that they're already predicting what you're gonna do, which is
Yes.
fantastic.
And you're bringing this topic up is literally waking me up because, like, we're recording late, guys. Peel behind the curtains, but like, this topic makes me excited and passionate to talk about. When we're talking about Bungie, we're talking about storytelling, CD Projekt Red. We're talking about indie developers, which Bungie is now an indie developer where we can kind of take a breath for a minute, see what they're going to give us because they're no longer under the guise of Activision. And in many different articles and press releases, we've heard that Bungie has literally celebrated the idea that they're not connected to Activision anymore. They've been incredibly transparent. Like Luke Smith right now, one of the head guys there for the community, has been writing a couple 4,000 word documents that lay out, literally telling us, the fans, what he was disappointed with, what the company Bungie was disappointed with in the last few months of their DLC, and what they hope to pull off in the future. And they've been insanely transparent. We'll do a longer segment, guys, if you want to know those details. They did a live hour-and-a-half stream earlier today at the time of this recording, revealing the future of the DLC and Shadowkeep coming out this September.
Well,
and again,
I think
3 articles,
like
Link 3.
But the big out of the 3 articles, I think the biggest thing to take away is the fact that the annual pass was so hard and so tough on them to do that it's one of those things that was forced by the publisher upon them.
Yeah,
strictly for money purposes is what it was.
Yeah,
and I mean,
Activision wanted a constant revenue, and the only way they thought would work is by creating this stupid pass thing, which I think Bungie has learned a lot from the idea of the pass, and I don't think they're going to completely ixnay on everything ass pay, but I
well, they addressed that in those documents, that certain things of the Eververse funded certain other things, like the Whisper of the Worm Eververse packages were able to fund certain like extra side quests of the game for exotic weapons.
Yeah.
And it's just
And I think they're still fine tuning the price points in Eververse, but because they're an indie developer, it's going to stay. And I think we're more encouraged to spend money on those things because it's not going to the publisher, it's going to the developers and fans that are making the damn game.
Like if we can see the content streaming out, I'm more apt to spend the money on those aesthetic purchases. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can see all that hidden shit coming out, I'm gonna dump money into the game because I like seeing all, like, even if it was hidden grimoire, like hidden like lore, and they put the time and the effort into it, like with the Thorn quest, all the hidden shit that was within that, or even the Malfeasance, all the hidden lore that was within that. Dude, I'd still dump money into it.
I mean, dude, just consider the fact that we're getting continual content, and also consider the fact, like, this blueprint doesn't fit everyone's bill. There are some gamers that they want to spend $50-$60. They want to do a one and done. They put 40-60 hours into a game. They're good. they trade it in, they go for the next one. But for game player investors like us, especially with MMOs and stuff, like, World of Warcraft is a monthly fee, $15 a month still to this day. But those people that pay that understand what they're paying for, and it's a game they're obsessed with. And to bring it back to what we're doing right now with the Eververse, hold on.
I get you. I don't.
I'm just saying for our listeners that might not be
coming from World of Warcraft. Yes,
yeah.
I totally understand, and
I'm sure a lot.
It is.
I'm sure some of the listeners we have are those types, but for those that aren't, I'm making the contrast by saying that I'm laying it out for the people out there that don't understand the World of Warcraft fan base, that game is a game where Blizzard continues producing content every X number of months, and the player base has sunk hundreds of thousands of hours into that game. So $15 a month, that's a justifiable bill for them. We pay $12-14 a month for Netflix because every day we're watching crap on Netflix. Same with Hulu. Same with Disney Plus in the future that we're going to be paying $6 a month for. Hold on, Lynn. I'll let you add to, but my point to it. My point is that, like streaming services, and I know you made a counter against games as service as being not your favorite thing, and that CD Projekt Red excels at single player stories, and at one time we thought BioWare was king of single player stories, and they were for a time, and they tried to do the service thing. But Destiny, I wanted to say, add to whatever you want to say after this. After all those different perspectives, I'd say Bungie is kind of in a weird sweet spot where they're the unique group of developers that want to do a game as service even as an indie developer. However, they understand the fan base because they themselves are fans, and they want a game that they, like us, want to invest in long term.
Okay.
Go for it. Anything else you want to add to it? Go for it.
No, here, in addition to your World of Warcraft reference, in your Blizzard reference, what is Xbox Live per month?
I mean, $10, around $10 a month, or $60 for the whole year.
What's PSN per month?
I don't know because I don't pay for it, Lynn. Tell me.
It's about the same.
Okay.
And then what's Nintendo per month?
I think it's maybe a little less.
$6.99.
Okay.
And here's where this dumbass is with my Live account and my PSN and my Nintendo account.
Oh, you're paying for all of that. Oh.
I pay a subscription service to all those so that I can play online.
For 3 different platforms.
For three, just to play what? One game? 2 games, maybe?
I don't know what games you're playing, Lynn. Tell us.
All with shitty Nevada internet.
That's where I'm at.
Don't drag that into it.
I ultimately have like 2 WoW accounts going per month in subscriptions just to play one game online with everybody. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. There are people like you that are willing to do it. Take us to your point.
There is still a subscription service for these AAA titles, and my thing is, for those people who play, I know it's going to be pretty painful, and I'm probably going to get a lot of salt for it, but all those people that play COD, or Apex Legends, or Fortnite, or those, the other games where they're like, oh, I'm just going to trade it up for the next big one that comes out. It's, all right, that's cool. you really don't have any room to complain about game development if you're just going to trade up for the next when it comes out, because it's going to be another steaming pile of shit that's polished gold. I'm in it. I know. I'm in it for the long term. I'm in it for the storyline. I'm in it for the development. I am in it for the multiplayer in certain aspects, but ultimately I end up playing it for the single player, the PvE aspect.
Yeah.
And a lot of those PvP people are just like, you know, you can't really look at Destiny as a PvP game. Like right now, in its current state, with Trials not being there and the faction vendors not being there, there's no PvP aspect to it. It's gone right now. They did tease to it that Trials may be coming back, but you know,
Well,
it's one of those things where my thing is, if you're one of those, hey, I'm gonna trade up for the newest, that's cool. I mean, you're cool with staying on top of things. Rock on.
absolutely. I've got to just kind of throw this out there, and we'll kind of see where the chips land after I say this, Lynn. But I feel like our hope of the future conversation kind of got segued by our discussion of games as service and on a little more of a politically opinionated type angle. I'm not saying political.
I mean, we could have delved into the loot box baloney and
That's been overtalked, Lynn. The loot box crap.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. We
I'm
could have beat a dead horse some more, but
no, but
it's one of those, like, all of those COD people.
Lynn,
they're getting suckered by EA.
What I want to bring to this as we I feel like need to wrap up because we're coming on the 2-hour mark here. Is that we will definitely come back at a more recent time soon and talk about Destiny more directly on what's coming and our excitement on that. I definitely appreciate and think that the conversation we did have just now on gaming and development was important. It's kind of one that's very current and fresh on a lot of people's minds on, you know, what can we expect? What kind of hope should we put into the future of these kind of games? And, you know, and what, you know, do we think some of these companies are, where do we think some of these companies are going? And I think we've kind of laid out some of that, you know, with the whole idea of Bungie as an indie developer and they're still pushing the games as a service agenda. However, they're definitely speaking to us on a more personal level because they're not tied to a publisher. And we've made some good points here and there. We made good points about CD Projekt Red, a company that still excels at single-player storytelling, and a company like BioWare who used to, but has suffered with the malignment of a publisher that's pushing for a games as a service to a developer that was not used to that. I think we've covered three huge angles on the games as a service here. So I think it was a really fresh topic. I think it's good to keep in this episode. And I just want to let our listeners know that we're definitely going to probably, for you guys that have followed us this long, know that we're fans of Destiny, and we will probably dive into a separate topic at a later time on what's coming up this fall for all the content. Agreed, guys?
Agreed.
Guys, you know what? We've had a lot of fun. I'm just going to tease these things out kind of to motivate some of my hosts to make sure we stay on task. I want to let you listeners know at the end of this, if you stuck out this long, that one, we appreciate you We love your investment in our time here. We love doing this and talking about these things. I also want to just kind of tease the fact that we've got a lengthy, in-depth Stranger Things Season 3 deep dive that's on the verge of being finished. So tune in, guys, in the next week or so. That is coming. Also, just kind of letting our listeners and viewers know, we're going to start time stamping our episodes because we do understand that our true fans enjoy the whole conversation, but some of you guys just want to get to the meat of certain things. So our main topics will be listed in timestamps under every episode and podcast going forward. I've started doing this in editing, but I'm going to add it to our future shows, guys. So, if there's spoilers and you don't want to get... Because I also want to open that up as an opportunity for us to spoil more things. Because, guys, it's so fun to talk spoilers about a show that all of us are watching. But if you guys are not watching that episode, we don't want to ruin it for you. Exactly, Lynn. So that's why we're putting in timestamps, because we'll let you know as we're talking about something that we're going to spoil the crap out of it like we did today, but give you timestamps so you can click past it or skip past it. Because we still want you to join us for the rest of the show, but we don't want to ruin certain things for you. So we're going to let you know ahead of time. Yeah. Guys, we're about to finalize our rating system in the future, so we're going to have a nice, quirky, nerdy themed rating system very soon. And guys, we've got some recent reviews on our website, so go check those out. We're starting to post more regularly now with at least reviews. So guys, this is kind of a wrap-up point. I'm going to close out the show. I'm going to say, for all things nerdy, guys, go to nerdentialsmedia.com. There it is, guys. The .com, the link, all the links, everything down below in the descriptions of this episode. Nick, Lynn, thank you for joining me tonight, gentlemen. It has been a fun, lengthy conversation. I always enjoy these. And nerds out there listening and watching, for me, Lynn, and Nick, this has been your Nerdy Essentials, and as always, we'll see you on the other side. See, now I know that sounded weird for you guys, but I told you I was going to start delaying myself with you guys on this.
And see, I tried to go before you did.
Oh, you dick.
That actually sounded more in sync than it has been in a while.